All right, you guys, you have seen the Highland Cow cake that I've made. I've actually posted 2 videos, but have you seen the Razorback pig? I think not. So I'm going to show you exactly how to make this adorable cake for any Razorback fan. Follow. To start my cake, I am just going to stack as usual, starting with some buttercream on the bottom. My first layer, and then a good scoop of buttercream in between my layers. I have just added an extra layer to this cake, so I'm doing 3 instead of 2, just so I have the extra height and room for all of my fur and my nose. Now that my cake is all crumb coated, I am going to take this out to the refrigerator, chill until it's nice and solid. Now that my cake is actually in the freezer, while that is chilling out, I am going to go ahead and make the nose for our Razorback. So I just have some marshmallows here that I'm going to stick in the microwave. I think I'm going to start like 30 seconds just watching it. These will puff up really big, but we just want them nice and melted. Now that my marshmallows are out of the microwave, you can see they're really stretchy and fluffy and warm. And this is where I want to take my Rice Krispies and mix them in. And at this point, I am just looking for a consistency that I can sculpt something out of. So I just want to be able to cover this in fondant for our cake. Now is where I am just going to spray my hand with a little bit of oil or butter and just use my hands to get this nice and incorporated together. You can see it still sticks a little bit, but this oil helps those marshmallows not stick directly to my hands. Now that I have all of my Rice Krispies mixed in with my marshmallow, I have this nice dough, kind of. It's really light, but still viable. So I don't think I'm going to use all of this, so I'm going to split it apart. And then for my snout or nose, I am just going to keep the front flat, but push out around the sides. Now that my nose has been sculpted, I just have some red fondant here that I am going to roll out and then cover my nose. So I'm going to roll this out. Now that my red fondant is all rolled out, I am just going to take some of my buttercream and do a nice thin coat over top of my nose. So I don't want a ton of buttercream on this, just enough to kind of smooth out these ridges and to give something to stick to when I put my fondant on. And now that it's all covered with my buttercream, I am just going to lay my fondant over top and slowly go down, smoothing it. And then I can just take a little knife going around the outside. And then I can turn this around and bring my fondant in. Just using my thumb. Now to move on to my nostrils, I just have this little silicone tool. I'm gonna mark 2 spots and then you can just shape them out. Starting with 2 circles and then coming down. Now that my nose is all complete, I am just going to set this to the side and then move on to the really long part. So you are going to want friends to help you do this. It takes forever, but it's totally worth it. Super easy, you can turn on a movie and do this, but friends are necessary. I am just going to take little pieces of my fondant, taking little balls and rolling them in between my palms to get these nice, long little tubes. And then they taper out on the end, and these are going to end up being my fur. So I've done 2, and now it's time to do what feels like 5 million more. So pull up a chair and get to work. And with the magic of YouTube, I have a ton of them already made. So I am going to use these and my nose and the few that I just made and start decorating. Now that I have done my nose and my fur and all of the other things, I have remembered that I didn't do the ears or the tusks. So I'm going to do those now. For my ears, I am just going to take some of my leftover rolled out fondant and just cut out 2 ears. Now that I have my ears cut out and then rolled out just to make it a little bit bigger, I am going to do the same thing with some white. So I'm going to roll this out. And then I am just going to cut out the same shape but out of my white. And then finally, I can just take the end of my ears and I'm just going to bring them together. So I'll bring here and just pinch together. And then I have a little ear. And then just a little trick for these to stay with their curve. Once I pinch them, I can go ahead and take just an old paper towel roll and I can slide this right on the inside, and then they dry with the nice curve from the paper towel roll. Now I am just going to make the little tusks that go on my nose. So I just have 2 pieces of white fondant that I'm rolling into like a cone shape. And then when I put them on, I turn them up on the sides and they'll look perfect on the cake. My cake is out of the freezer. Now I am just going to put my final coat of buttercream on the outside. And then I can move on to put the rest of my decorations. All right, y'all, I have gone ahead and pulled up a chair, but to start, I want to go ahead and map out where all of my fur are going to go. So I just want to mark how far out I want my head to go. So I'll just put a little line here and here, and then I want to connect these. So I will just take my little tool and go around, and then I want my nose to sit in the middle. So I can look at where I want this to go, and then once I have made sure it fits right, I just have some toothpicks that I'm going to take, just stick in the back of my nose. I'll put these in a little circle. Counting how many put in is key. You do not want one of these left in your slice of cake. So I am going to do 6, and then I can turn it around. Press it into my cake, and then I can take my fondant and push it around to meet the sides of the cake. Now that my nose is on, I just have some buttercream that is a slightly different shade than my fur, just so that my fur pops when you see through this. So I'm just going to take a little bit, put a really thin coat, not all the way out to the edge of where I want all my fur to go, but around enough that you don't see all this white through all my fur. Now I am just going to start and take my furs, starting around my nose where they hang down, starting at the top, letting it hang down, and just working my way all the way up my cake. And then I also added some brown pieces of fondant and modeling chocolate just in with my red, just to give it a little bit more dimension so that it doesn't look just like a plain flat red. Now that I have majority of my fur on, I am just going to take my ears, tuck them in where I want them to sit, just right behind and off to the side of this little modeling chocolate mound I have here. I'm just clearing a little bit of space and tucking this under. And then now that they are in, I am just going to take a toothpick and slide it right down the base so that it is nice and sturdy inside. Right about now, it looks like the red Miss Piggy, but it will get better, or at least it did last time when I tried this cake. But I'm just gonna keep adding different pieces of fur until almost over full. Like when you think it's full, keep going. I promise it will turn out great. Alrighty, I just put on the last few. I definitely had some help, but I think it looks really cute. It's nice and full. Now I am just going to add my test. I'm just taking toothpick and guiding them into my Rice Krispie. And I think I'm gonna go ahead and use 2. And then I can take my tests and slide them on. Now I am just adding a little bit of water underneath my tests just so that it gets nice and stuck. That water kind of dissolves the sugar so that they stick together. Now I am just going to take a little bit of my brown food coloring. I'm just going to take it on a small brush. Just go right inside of my nostril. And then finally, I'm gonna go back all over my cake, mainly the tusk and nose, and take just a little bit of cocoa powder on a dry brush and just brush over these. I want this to look dirty, so I don't want this nice, clean, white, or these nice, stark lines that my black has inside my nose. I just wanna take this cocoa powder, add more of a dirty look. So I've done the tusks and the nose some. I am gonna do my ears before I go back on the nostrils, just because I don't want any brown to show up on my ears that gets left on my brush. So I'm gonna add some to my ears. We've made a cute cake. Alrighty, it is all finished. I got to teach you exactly how to do it. Even though it is a very, very long process, it's totally worth it. So if you enjoyed learning how to make this cake, make sure to like and subscribe and ring the bell so we can change the world one cake at a time. Bye.